Playing God's Consequence. It was a dark and stormy night in 1974 when young Henry set out on his greatest invention yet. As a young man with a passion for science and technology, Henry had always dreamed of creating something that would change the world. He spent countless hours in his makeshift laboratory, tinkering with gadgets and gizmos, always striving to push the boundaries of what was possible. But his latest project was different. It was a bold and ambitious plan, one that would take all of his knowledge and skill to pull off. He was going to bring his beloved dog, Apollo, back to life. Apollo had been hit by a car and killed just a week earlier, and Henry was devastated. He couldn't bear the thought of living without his loyal companion by his side. So he set to work using all the latest technology at his disposal to bring Apollo back to life. It was a grueling process, and Henry poured every ounce of his energy into it. He worked day and night, barely sleeping or eating, determined to succeed. And finally, after months of hard work, Henry's invention was ready. With a trembling hand, Henry flipped the switch and watched as the machine sprang to life. It hummed and buzzed, filling the room with a strange and eerie light. And then slowly but surely, Apollo began to stir. At first, Henry was overjoyed. He ran to Apollo's side, tears of happiness streaming down his face. But as he looked into Apollo's eyes, he realized something was wrong. The dog was not the same as before. His eyes were wild and disoriented, and his body was twisted and contorted in ways that seemed impossible. Henry tried to calm Apollo down, but there was no use. The dog was confused and scared, and he lashed out at Henry, biting and clawing at him. Henry tried to hold him back, but Apollo was too strong. With a final howl, the dog broke free and ran out into the stormy night. Henry was left alone and shaken, his heart heavy with regret. He had succeeded in bringing Apollo back to life, but at what cost? The dog was now a monster, prowling the forest and haunting the dreams of anyone who crossed its path. But Henry soon realized that the effects of his invention were even more widespread than he had initially thought. Rodents of all shapes and sizes began to crawl out of the ground as if summoned by some unseen force. Creepy rats slugged across the fields, making their way into the forest, where all the undead creatures seemed to be gathering. It was as if Henry's invention had unleashed a wave of death and destruction upon the land. Shocked and horrified by what he had done, Henry destroyed his invention and vowed never to speak of it to anyone ever again. The young man who had dreamed of becoming the world's greatest inventor was left with only his sorrow and regret, haunted by the nightmare he had created. And to this day, the legend of undead that roams the forest on stormy nights lives on, a reminder of the dangers of playing God.